And now we will move on to 7.5, which is consideration of short-term loan from the general fund to behavioral health services in the amount of $2 million. Behavioral Health Services Director, Elise Jones.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Board. I want to start out by acknowledging that the department has been able to pay off $2 million of the previous loan that was requested, have not paid off the remaining $2 million to the county's general fund. So this new loan will allow us to sustain services through a reimbursement gap coupled with our IGT reimbursement flow issues that are felt across the state. Thank you.
All right. Any comments, Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I'd like, so I know in the past, we were getting the monthly report or something like that from basically our Health and Human Services to kind of discuss where we're at with the state, where we're at with the feds. I feel that I feel between a rock and a hard place. Voting no is ridiculous and just slams the department with the inability to do something that I don't want to see them unable to do. But saying yes without the big picture of who else is going to need to ask for something similar, and is it a first come, first serve, or do we have an overall plan on how to deal with some of the things that are coming down the pike? Because this makes me worried that it's $2 million on top of $2 million. This is a 12-month loan. The other one was a 12-month loan. We've already done some extensions and still remains unpaid. The explanation of the IGT worries me that the payments are slow to come in order to make it possible to repay. And so I don't want to just say yes without a conversation of can we engage in a deeper conversation of overall Medi-Cal issues, because this to me is a Medi-Cal issue, which I just don't even understand the state closing down and not paying between May and August. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is not the way, whether you want to see the government as a business, other people who run businesses that put out Medi-Cal claims need to continue to get paid. So today I will abstain if there's a vote that's forced, but I feel the need for a greater conversation to better understand what are we looking at here? Because I don't want to do first come, first serve for who wants to get help when help is needed, because I feel there's going to be a lot more hands being raised in the very near future, and I'd love to have a Health and Human Services discourse to really better understand how we're going to plan for this, because I'm nervous about what's planned with what's proposed.
Supervisor Owen?
When was our $4 million loan? Was that last year or a year ago?
Yes.
And that was a 12-month loan?
Yes.
And you've paid back half of it?
Yes.
And we need to bring it back to a $4 million loan?
No. 2.
2 and 2?
No. Just $2 million. I don't know if admin's able to help clarify.
Yes, Stephen, please.
I meant that you still owe 2 from the last.
It's 1, I think, right? We owe 1, or do you?
No, they own 2.
We were unable to pay off the loan, so we're asking for a new loan of $2 million to cover what we couldn't pay off. It's only $2 million.
I see.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
That's, so the
Sorry.
loan would be a loan on what you already have.
Is that
Steven?
a way to character?
So from what I'm hearing is basically you want no extra money from the general fund, just the $2 million to cover what we've already given you.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, I misunderstood it.
Okay. So this one basically is extending the current loan
Oh.
Okay, yeah, and I misunderstood the writing.
from what
Okay.
the director is saying.
Yes.
All right. Vice Chair, did you have?
Well, just my concern, yeah, if my understanding is that if we didn't do this loan and they ran short of money, the county has to pay for it anyway, and then we're at risk of not getting it paid back potentially. Is that
That is
is that
correct.
correct?
We would make every effort to have it paid back, but that is correct.
But there is that possibility, is because we have to pay the bills, the county does. So that's my concern if we didn't approve it.
And for other social services or public health, if something like this came up, they have a different, they have more funding that hasn't been ravaged by IGT, so it is possible, but it's not as likely. Don't mind having conversations with them as well.
Supervisor Owen?
Go ahead.
I feel better about it knowing that you already have the money, that we're not taking additional 2 million out of the general fund, because that's the way I was reading it.
No, we're not asking for any more actual cash to
We're
come to
just
us.
extending the loan that you currently have.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yeah, I think we need to continue to provide these services and only address what we've got in front of us today.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Just a legality question. We have, I don't know if it's a resolution or something for the first loan. We've extended it for it to be paid. I can't ignore the fact that we have kind of like a loan agreement that it will be repaid, and here this talks to a new loan as far as the resolution goes. It doesn't even discuss the prior loan. So how do we make sure that, like, I would prefer seeing an extension of that loan, because really the extension is for another full year, than a new document. Because
Good point.
I think everybody, including what I'm believing is admin's perspective, thought this was a new loan. So I'm a little confused as to should we extend what's already there, or should we look at what document we have now, which creates something new?
So he's basically said, do we need to extend what previously was approved when it came to the short-term loan, rather than conduct a whole new document as we have in front of us, the resolution?
That would be don't have to, no, but that would be the preferred method, but it needs to be done probably before July 1, because the previous resolution is June 30th, and they would be late. If we go with the current resolution, it has some bad fund numbers on it. It was not changed to Fund 1 instead of 110, but we will, depending on your answers, I'll get there.
Supervisor Sabatier?
I would prefer kicking this to the next meeting on the 24th, just because in the resolution it talks about decreasing general fund and putting it in certain buckets, and I just see this as a secondary loan, even though it's not meant to be. The way it's written, I don't. If we follow the instructions that's on here, it's an additional 2 million. Hence why I think most people thought that's what we were looking at today. So I'd love to see this be reviewed and cleaned up and brought back to us in the appropriate documentation, so.
Steven?
So I do see two solutions. Either the board is okay with the department missing the deadline of the June 30th payment via the resolution and coming back on July 8th with an extension, or we can move forward with this one, and what we would do is we would pay them the 2 million and they would pay the old loan off. Same end result, but because it would be net zero. So those are the two different options. They both work, just one is a little roundabout.
And so, but the second one, we wouldn't miss the deadline.
Correct,
The other way, we would miss the deadline.
correct.
All right. How does everyone feel about that?
I'm okay with the
What do you think?
second one, or where we don't miss the deadline.
The first one?
First one, I guess, I'm confused.
And
now.
then come back and fix it. Or, I'm sorry, not
No,
come back
they
and
would
fix
pay
Pay
it,
it,
yeah.
pay it.
Yeah.
And
Net zero.
It appears that in the item, there's a clerical error, so if your board were to approve that, it would have to be as amended, I believe.
yeah, I'm okay with approving as amended.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Last time the extension came, I voted against it. 12 months is, in my opinion, $2 million from general funds. I can't continue with this.
No other comments? I'll open it up to the public. We have one right here.
Hi, Elaine Brown. I'm just wanting three things. Maybe this is what you want oversight on. What are the services provided for that 2 million? Is that designated? How the money is getting back into the system? And who's the oversight on that?
All right. Did you want to answer some of that?
Yes, so primarily the 2 million is used to cover contracted services within the specialty mental health program. So that includes things like all of our medical psychiatrists, all of our nursing services. They're very expensive. And we have direct oversight from the Department of Healthcare Services to provide those services, as well as the auditor controller to ensure that all of our bills are paid, and our maths, as well as the administrator's office, Stephen Carter. So we have full transparency in all of our books, and anybody is welcome to come through and look anytime at how we account for our dollars.
All right. No one else on Zoom or anything? All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
So I would offer the resolution as amended with those mistakes.
Yes, and so for, as part of that motion, the amendments would be any reference to the fund number 110 and after the now therefore paragraph in the resolution that's posted for your board is changed to or revised to Fund 1. And that would be the amendment for offering the resolution as amended.
Offered with that language.
And that's also with the caveat that once the funds are given, they balance out and then something like that.
That's my understanding,
Yeah,
yes.
just making sure. All right, resolution's been offered.
All right. Supervisor Owen,
Nay.
Supervisor Sabatier,
Nay.
Supervisor Rasmussen,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Crandall.
Aye. All right, motion passes 3-2.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't
Doesn't
pass.
because it
needs a
requires
4-1, right?
Yes.
All right, so motion doesn't pass for it needs 4-1. So what happens from here, Lloyd?
Well, no action is then taken
Okay.
by your board, so the resolution that is not adopted.
All right, so the resolution fails.
So, and which critical services are not going to be funded now?
Our contracted providers of nursing services.
And are we going to be in violation of those contracts?
I don't know. I'd have to do a further analysis at this point to determine what our options are.
How many people are going to be impacted?
I am not sure. I couldn't state definitively.
Supervisor Sabatier?
So again, there is no not moving forward. I'm just, this is not clean. Is it possible during the behavioral health budget item to show us what is the plan to recoup? Because what I have is mostly those dollars cannot go back to be paid back for the loan. It goes back into the programs. And I don't have an understanding of how the $2 million will be paid back at this point in time. Is it possible to have that presentation during the budget time?
I'm not quite sure I understand your question.
I'm not quite sure how you're going to get the money back.
So the way that we've been paying it back, it's just that those, the cash flow of Medi-Cal reimbursement and revenue is slower than anticipated because we must contribute a significant portion of what we make into the intergovernmental transfer process in order to draw down more Medi-Cal revenue. And because we receive some of the highest Medi-Cal reimbursement rates in the state, that was a significant burden in order to pony up the matching funds for those services. So I don't see this issue continuing into the next fiscal year. I believe that this will conclude that. And yes, of course, I am happy to present to your board regarding all of our finances on the 24th.
And I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Vice Chair.
So if it did come back in front of us, would there be an opportunity to, no, it's, okay.
That's why I was here.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Sorry. That's why I was back up at the podium. God dang. That's why I was back up at the podium is there's no other chance for it to come through because it's a resolution. Unless decide to allow one during budget hearings, which is not common.
Supervisor Sabatier?
I'd like to offer a solution. I'll do a 3-month extension, but we need to have a conversation. These services are great, but if they're going to start hitting us in general funds and the federal and the state government are going to keep cutting as we anticipate them to finalize and cut, we have to have a plan. And so within the next 3 months, I would like to see a Health and Human Services conversation about what are the mandated programs, what are the not mandated programs, so we can come up with a plan, not to eliminate programs, but so we can be prepared and we can know what to do. I think this is this is an impossible thing to just say no to, but to ask for 12 more months of general funds to be tied up and to not have been provided a plan when we've extended the loan, there's a level of discomfort that I have, and I think that I can find comfort if we do a 3-month extension with a deep dive conversation with our Health and Human Services about what is coming up, and by that point in time, things will have been more finalized, and either I need to stop talking the way I'm talking because they're not going to be as bad as they are, but there will be cuts that come down the pike, and we cannot keep thinking that we can do business as usual. I'm nervous about that.
Stephen, or did you come back for a
So
reason?
my question there would be, do you want it an open session with all 3 department heads here, or talk to admin to work out what that would look like?
I would say you guys could figure out what the best platform would be, but I think it needs to be a platform for a public conversation. People who are on these services and programs are probably really nervous not to know what we're planning or what we may have going for us. But I think that showing that we have a plan, at least on the shelf, may alleviate some of the issues that people are going through and their concerns.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yeah, Director Jones, you mentioned that you thought this would be resolved this year and that this isn't going to continue. So can you just elaborate more on that?
Well, my anticipation is that we would have been able to pay off the remaining $2 million when the Medi-Cal payments resume in about the late August, early September. Typically, what we see on our transfer up of intergovernmental transfer funds and what we get back is it's about $2 for every dollar. It's that the flow of it is too slow, and in order to keep it moving, you have to keep feeding the monster.
Right.
And so we're slowly, inch by inch, also trying to stock up our reserves while still maintaining service continuity. For example, the mobile crisis benefit, which is significant. All of our expanded services and our dramatic push to increase services is behind this, and that was an intentional choice that we made. And I do not anticipate, I think that we will have resolved our IGT cash flow issues after this and will not have any more need to go before the board. Now, I understand that the state budget was approved and a lot of the cuts that were discussed did not go through relating to healthcare. It is also true that many of the services that we provide are not being contested for payment. A lot of waivers with the government for Medi-Cal services are maybe not going to be renewed. We don't know yet, it remains to be seen. But the core behavioral health services will continue. So in the absence of state funding for programming, our most non-essential services, if we were short, would be shuttered. So those are the peer support centers, other outreach and engagement activities that are not funded through Medi-Cal would not be prioritized with our funding.
Thank you.
Supervisor Owen?
And it sounds, by pushing it 3 months out, it sounds like you're probably not going to need it at that point, as you're anticipating being able to pay it back at that point. So that would get you through the crisis, is that correct?
That is correct.
That's a solution. Perfect.
Did you? No.
Well, it's not up to us to reconsider.
No. Lloyd?
So if your board is willing to entertain a reconsideration of of the action or non-approval that took place, we have Rule 9 of Chapter 1 of the Policies and Procedures, in which any member of the board who votes in the majority on a question, so there was 3 who voted in the majority, as well as any member who was absent, that doesn't apply here, is eligible to make a motion to reconsider. And then a motion to reconsider shall be in order during the meeting at which the action to be reconsidered took place. That's the same meeting that we have here. Provided all members are in public, all members of the public are still in attendance. This item is still open for your board, hasn't been closed, during the original action, and are still present in the board chamber. So motion for reconsideration is an option available to your board. Anyone who voted in the majority may make that motion, and then we'll go from there as far as any actions that would flow from that motion.
I move to reconsider.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Lloyd?
So now, with this reconsideration item, what's before your board today is a resolution. And there was a proposal to amend the resolution by revising references to quote-unquote fund number, quote-unquote 110, the fund number, to 1. That is, so if there are any other amendments your board may wish to consider for purposes of this resolution, and I'm alluding or I'm referencing this 3-month extension. If any other amendments that your board may wish to incorporate in this resolution, your board has the option to do so. And the resolution, again, can be offered as amendment with these latest round of amendments.
Supervisor Sabatier?
So even the resolution, I don't see a timeline within the resolution itself. Am I missing that? I see dollars, I see the date of the regular meeting it's being held, but I don't see that it said a year. But this is not an extension because this is a new resolution. So what I'm offering is, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake, State of California, that the following revisions to the fiscal year 2025 adopted budget are hereby authorized and approved. And I guess underneath that, funding loan will be repaid within 90 days. Help me correct that.
Be October 1st.
It would be September 17th.
Well, I
which would be
think
past August.
It expires the 1st of the month, right? So if you expend it by 90 days.
Well, this is a brand new
Okay.
one. The other one's going to fall off and go where it goes. And this one will be the new one that starts as of the 17th and for 3 months. Is that appropriate language?
Yes, and your board, the only suggestion here is to, again, clarify which language to plug in after that now therefore paragraph.
And I guess I'm looking to county council to make sure and clarify to make sure that is the appropriate language, that the loan repayment will be made in full within 90 days.
So it could be, the language could state that the loan repayment under this resolution shall be paid within 90 days of the adoption of this resolution.
Sounds good to me. And then we're going to need to change the fund numbers again to 110 to 1.
Yes, that'll be part of the
So
amendment.
that's another, those two amendments are the only ones that I think are necessary, and I will give it an approval. I offer the resolution as amended.
Resolution has been offered.
All right. Supervisor Owen?
Aye.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Rasmussen?
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Crandall?
Aye. Resolution is passed.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee.